In a cottage, on top of a cliff at Duncansby Head in Caithness in the far north of Scotland, lived a man who made his living by killing seals. And every day he would row out into the bay and wait for the seals to come to him. And he took with him a silver whistle, and on the whistle he played a seal-calling tune. And when he played the tune, the seals would pop up their heads to listen. One day he was playing the whistle when a huge seal broke the surface of the sea just by the boat. He grabbed his bone-handled knife and plunged it into the back of the seal, and the seal sank down beneath the waves, taking the knife with it. The seal killer couldn't believe what had happened. Without the knife, he couldn't pursue his trade. He went back to his cottage and sat down at the table with his head in his hands and wondered how he could get another knife. Later that day, a storm rose, thunder and lightning. In the evening, the seal killer drifted in and out of sleep until sometime after midnight there was a knock at the door. He shook himself awake, opened the door, and there stood a tall stranger, dressed entirely in black. "Are you the man who kills seals for a living?" "Yes, I am. What do you want with me?" "I've a job for you. Come with me now." There was a flash of lightning, and the seal killer saw standing patiently a great black horse. The stranger leapt onto the horse, pulled the seal killer up behind him, and they rode off into the mouth of the night. They rode through rain and hail and sleet and snow, till they came to a cliff edge. The stranger dismounted, and so did the seal killer. And the stranger wrapped his arms around the seal killer, took a deep breath of air, pressed his lips to the seal killer's lips, breathed the air out into the seal killer's lungs, and threw himself off the cliff, with the seal killer still in his arms. Down they went like stooping hawks till they hit the surface of the sea. They carried on sinking to the ocean's bed, and there was a door. They went through the door, and they were in a hall full of round-faced, brown-eyed, weeping people. They went into a smaller room, and there, lying on a bed of skins, was a beautiful woman. And she was so pale and still, the seal killer couldn't tell whether she was alive or whether she was dead. And he saw, sticking out of her shoulder, the bone handle of his knife. The stranger said, "This is our queen, the queen of the Selkie people. Yesterday you stabbed her in the back, and now she's dying, and you're the only one who can save her. What should I do?" "You must pull out the knife and kiss the wound." He had no choice. He leant forward, pulled out the knife and kissed the wound, and the wound closed over, as if by magic. The woman opened her eyes and looked into the seal killer's eyes. He looked back at her, but before either of them could speak, the stranger said, "Right, that's it. That's your job over. Come with me." He led the seal killer back to the sea door. "Now, before I let you go, promise me one thing." "What's that?" "Promise me you will never, ever kill another seal." "No, I never will kill another seal." "Right, take this," and he thrust a bundle into the seal killer's hands. "And whatever you do, don't open it till you get back home." And he opened the sea door, pushed the seal killer out into the dark waters. The door slammed behind him, and the seal killer began to rise and rise until he thought his lungs would burst. And then his head broke the surface of the sea. And it was dawn. He was in the bay, below the cliff where his cottage stood. He dragged himself up the steep path, opened the door, flung the bundle onto the table. The bundle split open, and the room was full of pieces of gold. The seal killer never did kill another seal. He lived out his life in that little cottage on top of the cliff, never married, never had children. But the people of Duncansby Head say that when the moon was full, he would go down to the beach, stand at the edge of the sea and play a tune on a silver whistle. And after a while, a huge seal would drag itself up onto the shingle, and a beautiful woman would step out of the skin. And all night long, she and the seal killer would dance together on the sand until the dawn. And then the woman would put her sealskin back on and slip away into the waves. And this is the tune that the seal killer played to call the Queen of the Selkies out of the sea.